Listen carefully, Zuberi said coldly. From this day forward, you are no longer my daughter. Nia stopped walking. What? If Chief Baraka is to marry me, he must never know I have a grown daughter. It makes me look old, burdened. From now on, you are my housegirl. You will not speak unless spoken to. You will stay out of sight. Hello, my wonderful friends. I'm Amina, and beside me is the ever-wise Nia Tembo. We're so grateful you're here to share in one of our treasured African folk tales. If you're enjoying these stories, please take a moment to subscribe. It costs nothing, but it means everything to us and helps keep these tales alive. And stay with us all the way to the end, because Nia Tembo has something truly special to share. Her powerful words of wisdom that you definitely won't want to miss. In the golden haze of dawn, the village of Nkari woke slowly as the first rays of sunlight brushed over the thatched rooftops and the endless stretch of acacia trees beyond. Smoke rose from early morning fires, and the distant bleating of goats echoed through the cool air. But inside a small mud brick house at the edge of the village, not all was peaceful. Zuberi, a tall woman with sharp eyes and skin as smooth as polished ebony, sat hunched over a pile of fabric, her fingers moving with fierce precision. Her business of sewing dresses for the market consumed her from sunrise to sunset. To the villagers, Zuberi was admirable, respected for her tireless work. But within the walls of her home, her heart beat with cold ambition. Love was not something she gave freely, not even to her only child. "Nia!" Zuberi snapped without looking up. "Why is that pot still empty? Fetch water from the stream now." Nia, barely 12 years old, stood barefoot by the door, her clever brown eyes watching her mother with quiet defiance. She wasn't like other children in Nkari. From the day she could speak, Nia had been gifted with a strange and secret talent. The birds told her stories. The wind carried her whispers. And her best friend in the entire world, Kito, the grey parrot, with feathers as silver as moonlight, was never far from her side. "Why do you let her treat you like a servant?" Kito squawked from the wooden beam overhead, his beady eyes gleaming with mischief. "You are no slave, little one." "Hush, Kito," Nia whispered, glancing nervously at her mother. "If she hears you, she'll clip your wings." Kito fluffed his feathers. Let her try. As Nia grabbed the water jug and headed for the door, Zuberi's voice stopped her cold. "And don't you dare linger talking to those useless animals of yours. There is no food for dreamers in this house." Nia bit her lip and stepped outside, the sun already warming her back. Kito swooped down and landed on her shoulder as they walked toward the narrow path leading to the stream. "Why do you stay?" Kito whispered in her ear. "Why don't we fly away together, far from here where no one can command you?" Nia smiled softly. "Because she's still my mother, and because I believe something better is coming. I can feel it in the wind." And indeed, something better was coming. But neither Nia nor Kito could have imagined that soon, fate would sweep them into the hands of the wealthiest man in the region, Chief Baraka, a man known for his fortune, his sharp mind, and his long search for the perfect bride. Little did they know, secrets cannot stay hidden forever, especially when the wind is listening. Word spread quickly through Nkari like wildfire on dry grass. Chief Baraka was coming. For years, Chief Baraka had remained the most eligible man in the region. Women from every village dreamed of becoming his wife. Tall and regal, with skin the colour of rich mahogany and eyes as sharp as an eagle's, Baraka was not only wealthy but wise. His businesses stretched from the highlands to the coast, and his name carried weight in every market. But despite the endless women who tried to charm him, Baraka waited. He was a man who trusted his instincts, and his instincts told him that the right woman would reveal herself in time. and now, at last, he was visiting Enkari. Officially, he had come to inspect the land for his new cattle, but everyone whispered that perhaps, just perhaps, he was searching for his bride. Zuberi's heart leapt when she heard the news. "This is my chance," she muttered to herself, smoothing down her finest kitenge dress. She caught her reflection in a small mirror and smiled. "He will see that I am the most hard-working woman in this village. Who else would be worthy?" But Nia, sitting quietly by the doorway, glanced up at Quito, who perched above. "Do you feel it too?" she whispered. "The wind. It's warning me." Quito tilted his head. "Change is coming, and with change comes danger." Later that afternoon, the village gathered to welcome Chief Baraka. He arrived on horseback, flanked by guards and elders. His presence was like thunder rolling across the plains, commanding, powerful, impossible to ignore. Zuberi pushed Nia forward. "Stand straight! Don't embarrass me!" Chief Baraka dismounted, his eyes scanning the crowd. He greeted the elders first, exchanging formalities. But as his gaze moved across the people, it paused, just briefly, on Nia. Not Zuberi, not the other women who batted their lashes and smiled sweetly, but Nia, barefoot, with strands of hair falling from her scarf and dirt on her hands. For a moment, their eyes met. There was something familiar, something unspoken, as though the wind whispered a secret between them. And then it was gone. Baraka moved on, attending to his duties. Zuberi didn't notice the exchange. Her mind was already scheming. That evening, as they walked home, she turned to Nia. "Listen carefully," Zuberi said coldly. "From this day forward, you are no longer my daughter." Nia stopped walking. "What?" "If Chief Baraka is to marry me, he must never know I have a grown daughter. It makes me look old, burdened. From now on, you are my housegirl. You will not speak unless spoken to. You will stay out of sight," Quito hissed angrily. "The woman has lost her mind." Nia clenched her jaw. "But, Mama..." "No, do you want to ruin everything? You will obey, or you will leave." The wind picked up, swirling around Nia's feet, as though it, too, were angry at Zuberi's words. And from deep within the forest, unseen by all, Malkia, the legendary white leopard, watched. Her silver eyes glinted under the moonlight. Because where greed takes root, the spirits of the land awaken. And the truth always finds its voice. The following morning, the sun rose over Enkari with a golden glow. But inside Zuberi's house, the air was thick with tension. Nia scrubbed the floor until her fingers ached, her knees bruised against the hardened clay. Beside her, Quito paced back and forth on the window ledge, his feathers ruffled in outrage. "This is madness," he squawked under his breath. "You are no servant. How long will you let her treat you like this?" Nia wiped sweat from her brow, glancing toward the open door where her mother's voice echoed as she rehearsed her speech for Chief Baraka's next visit. "She's still my mother," Nia whispered, "and she thinks this is the only way to escape her old life." Quito clicked his beak. "And what of you? Who will save you?" Before Nia could answer, Zuberi swept into the room, her arms full of freshly pressed fabrics. "Nia!" she barked. "Fetch water, and make sure you do not cross Chief Baraka's path today. You are nothing but the help now. Understand?" Nia stood silently, the words bitter on her tongue. "Yes." "Auntie," she finally said, the title slicing through her heart like a blade. "Good girl," Zuberi sneered. "Keep it that way." But as Nia left the house with the empty jug, the wind picked up around her, whispering secrets only she could hear. From the branches above, Quito flew in lazy circles before landing softly on her shoulder. "You're stronger than this," he murmured into her ear. "And something tells me you'll need all your strength soon." When Nia reached the stream, she knelt by the water's edge, watching her reflection ripple in the current. The gift she carried, the gift of speaking with the creatures of the earth, had always felt like a blessing. But now, it felt like the only family she had left. Suddenly, there was a rustling from the bushes. Nia turned to see two glowing eyes watching her from the shadows. It was Malkia, the legendary white leopard. Silent, regal, deadly. Nia froze, her heart pounding. But instead of attacking, Malkia dipped her head slowly, as if acknowledging Nia's presence. The wind shifted, and Nia swore she heard words carried through the trees. "Be patient, child. The truth has a way of hunting down the wicked." And just as quickly as she had appeared, Malkia vanished back into the forest. When Nia returned home with the water jug, her mind spun with questions. But there was no time to think. Chief Baraka had sent word. He was inviting Zuberi and her Maid to his estate for dinner. Zuberi clapped her hands with glee. "This is it. He's going to propose. You are to serve us quietly and disappear when spoken to." Nia nodded. But deep down, something shifted. The animals were stirring. The wind was watching. And secrets. Secrets were waiting to be set free. The estate of Chief Baraka was unlike anything Nia had ever seen. The house stood tall atop a small hill, surrounded by swaying baobab trees and guarded by stone statues of lions. The air smelled of roasted meats and jasmine, and the laughter of important guests drifted through the night air like smoke. Nia clutched the serving tray to her chest as her mother hissed instructions under her breath. "Remember, you're a servant. You speak only if spoken to, and even then, keep your eyes down. Do not ruin this for me, Nia. This is the night everything changes." Quito, hidden in the folds of Nia's shawl, whispered from the shadows, "Everything will change, but not the way she thinks." Inside the grand dining hall, lanterns cast a soft golden glow across long wooden tables, overflowing with food. Zuberi shimmered in her brightest wrap, her bracelets clinking like coins. She greeted Chief Baraka with a practiced smile, bowing low. "Chief Baraka," she purred, "what an honour it is to be in your presence." Baraka rose from his seat and gestured kindly. "Zuberi, the honour is mine. Please, sit." Nia moved silently between the guests, pouring drinks, laying out dishes. But she could feel Baraka's eyes on her as if he were studying her every move. Strange, he thought. There is something familiar in the way she moves, the shape of her face, the sadness in her eyes. Halfway through the meal, Baraka cleared his throat. "And who is this young girl, your niece?" Zuberi didn't miss a beat. "Oh, just my little housemaid. No family. I took pity on her." Nia's heart clenched, her throat burned, but she kept her head down and her face calm. Quito, perched on the window ledge outside, fluffed his feathers angrily. "Lies. All lies." Baraka nodded slowly, but said nothing. Yet inside, his mind stirred. The girl looked too much like Zuberi to be random charity. Her features were similar, her silence too practiced. And later that night, as the moon rose over the plains, Baraka sat alone in his study when a soft growl echoed from the shadows. From the open balcony, Malkia, the white leopard, padded silently into the room. Baraka blinked, unsure if he was dreaming. But Malkia spoke, as legend said she did to men of wisdom. "Do not trust the one who smiles too easily," she purred. "The truth sleeps in rags, not silk." And then, like mist in the morning, she was gone. The next day, Chief Baraka made his decision. He would find out exactly who Nia really was. Because no leopard prowls, unless there's something worth hunting. The morning after the dinner, the village of Nkari buzzed with rumours. Everyone whispered that Chief Baraka would soon choose his bride, and Zuberi paraded through the marketplace as if the crown was already on her head. "Prepare yourselves," Zuberi bragged to the women selling mangoes and spices. "I will soon be the lady of the estate." Meanwhile, Nia sat quietly beneath the shade of an acacia tree, shelling groundnuts while Quito kept watch from a branch above. "You cannot let this continue," Quito whispered. "He must know the truth." Nia shook her head. "If I speak, Mama will lose everything. And no matter how she treats me, I don't want her to suffer." Quito let out a harsh squawk. "And what of you? Scrubbing floors until your hands bleed? Sleeping on straw while she dines on roasted lamb? Enough of this foolish loyalty." Before Nia could answer, a shadow fell over them. Chief Baraka himself stood before her, his eyes sharp as the tip of a spear. "Nia," he said, his voice gentle. "Come walk with me." She looked up, startled. "Sir?" "Just a short walk. I have questions." They strolled through the edge of the village, Quito trailing discreetly behind. For a while, they said nothing. Only the sound of their footsteps and the rustling leaves filled the silence. "You remind me of someone," Baraka finally said, "but I cannot quite place who." Nia lowered her gaze. "I wouldn't know, sir." "And how did you come to live with Zuberi?" "She found me." Baraka studied her face carefully. The way her eyes darted away, the tension in her shoulders, the half-truth in her voice. He had built his fortune by spotting lies, and this girl was swimming in them. "And your parents?" he asked. Nia's throat tightened. The truth begged to leap out, but Zuberi's warning echoed in her ears. "Say nothing, or we will lose everything." I never knew them," she whispered, but Quito, from his perch above, couldn't take the dishonesty any longer. As Baraka turned to leave, Quito swooped down and landed boldly on the chief's shoulder. "Ask her what the wind told her last night," Quito squawked loudly. "Ask her what the leopard saw." Baraka froze mid-step. "Leopard?" Nia's face turned pale, and it was a mistake. A terrible, irreversible mistake. Now, Baraka would surely piece together what Nia had fought so hard to hide. But instead of anger, a slow, knowing smile spread across his face. "Ah," Baraka said softly, as if speaking to the wind itself. "So the leopard has been watching, and the truth is closer than I thought." That evening, Baraka summoned his most trusted advisor. "I want you to find out everything about Zuberi, quietly, and start by watching that girl. There's a story there, and I intend to hear it." And far beyond the village, under the cover of night, Malkia prowled once more, her silver eyes glowing beneath the moon. The hunt for the truth had begun. Nightfall blanketed Nkari in a velvet hush, but Nia could find no sleep. She lay curled on her straw mat, staring at the wooden beams above, listening to the distant hoots of owls and the whisper of the wind through the cracks of the hut. Beside her, Quito rustled his feathers anxiously. "They are watching. Baraka is getting closer." Nia turned on her side. "It was foolish of you to mention the leopard. Now he'll never stop asking questions." "Better his questions than your suffering," Quito snapped. "And mark my words, child. If Malkia has taken an interest, secrets will not stay buried." And as if summoned by her very name, a low growl drifted from beyond the window. Nia sat up, her heart pounding. Quito flew to the doorframe, peering into the shadows. From the darkness, Malkia, the white leopard, emerged. Her coat shimmered under the moonlight like a river of silver. her eyes glowing with ancient knowledge. Nia stepped outside slowly, barefoot in the cool earth. "Why are you here?" she whispered, though she already knew the answer. Malkia circled her once, graceful and silent, before speaking in a voice as smooth as the wind itself. "The lion is waking, child, and the serpent sleeps at your table." Nia shivered. "You mean Chief Baraka and my mother? Greed blinds the serpent, but lions see with their hearts." Malkia's gaze softened. "The time to speak is coming, but not yet. Wait and watch." And just like that, the leopard melted back into the night. The next morning, Zuberi stormed into the house, her face flushed with excitement. "Baraka has invited me alone to his estate. He's finally going to propose. I know it." But Nia felt the shift. Something was unraveling, and no amount of silk dresses or forced smiles could hold it together. While her mother prepared herself, draping on layers of golden jewellery and oils that smelled of wildflowers, Nia slipped away to the garden. She knelt by the papaya trees, her hands in the dirt, and whispered her worries to the wind. The birds, the insects, the very leaves seemed to lean closer, listening. "Soon," Quito said, landing beside her, "you will not have to hide anymore." But Nia wasn't sure if that thought brought her relief or fear. For when truths rise from the shadows, so do consequences. And Chief Baraka was no fool. While Zuberi laughed and planned her future as his bride, Baraka had sent his spies to the village. Quiet men who listened at windows, women who gathered gossip like water from a well. By sundown, Baraka would know the truth. And when the lion knows, he roars. By the time the sun slid behind the hills, Chief Baraka knew everything. His spies had returned, their whispers confirming what his heart had already suspected. Nia was no servant. She was no orphan. She was the very blood of Zuberi hidden in plain sight and treated worse than a stray goat. Baraka stood in his study, gazing out over the savannah as the wind tugged at the curtains. Malkia's warning echoed in his mind. "The serpent sleeps at your table." Not for much longer. When Zuberi arrived that evening, draped in her finest wrap, her wrists jingling with gold bangles, she found Baraka waiting for her on the veranda. The stars blinked above them, silent witnesses. "My chief," Zuberi said sweetly, bowing low, "it is such an honour." Baraka gestured for her to sit. His face was unreadable, carved from stone. "Zuberi," he began slowly, "tell me again, who is the young girl that works in your home?" Zuberi's smile didn't falter. "Just a girl I took pity on. No family. A burden, really." Baraka leaned forward, his eyes piercing. "And you are certain of this?" She laughed lightly, waving her hand. "Of course, my chief. Why would I lie?" Baraka nodded once. Then he clapped his hand sharply. The doors swung open, and there stood Nia. Barefoot, humble, with her head slightly bowed, but her eyes burned bright, as if the wind itself had set them aflame. Zuberi's breath caught. Why is she here?" Baraka stood, his voice echoing through the night. "Enough with the lies, Zuberi. I know the truth. Nia is your daughter." Silence fell like a hammer. Even the crickets outside seemed to hold their breath. Zuberi's face drained of colour. "My chief, You denied your own flesh. You forced her to live as a servant in her own home. And for what? Status? Wealth? A title?" Zuberi stammered, reaching for his arm. "Please. You don't understand. I only wanted to be worthy of you." Baraka pulled back, his eyes cold. "Worthy?" A woman who trades her child's dignity for a seat at my table is not worthy of anything. Nia looked up, meeting her mother's eyes for the first time in weeks. There was no anger there, only sadness. Behind them, perched quietly on the windowsill, Quito let out a soft whistle. The lion roars at last. Baraka turned to Nia. From this night forward, you are no servant. You are under my protection. And Zuberi, you will leave this house by sunrise. Zuberi fell to her knees, weeping. Please, my chief, give me another chance. But Baraka shook his head. You had many chances. You chose greed every time. The wind stirred around them, tugging at Nia's scarf, as if lifting her burdens into the night. And somewhere beyond the hills under the silver moon, Malkia watched and nodded. Justice had finally awoken. The morning came harsh and cold, as if the sun itself had turned its back on Zuberi. She packed her few belongings into a woven basket with trembling hands. The house, once filled with her dreams of riches and power, now echoed with nothing but silence. Outside, the village was already awake, word of her disgrace spreading like wildfire. Where once she walked as a queen in waiting, now she shuffled like a shadow. Nia, she called softly from the doorway. Nia appeared standing tall despite the ache in her heart. Her brown eyes held no bitterness, only a quiet sadness. Zuberi's voice broke. Please, forgive me. Nia looked at her mother, the woman who had traded her love for status, who had crushed her dignity for the hope of a crown. And yet, despite everything, Nia felt no hatred. Quito landed on her shoulder and whispered, Say the word and she is nothing. But Nia shook her head gently. I already forgave you, Mama, but some mistakes still carry their weight. Zuberi's knees buckled and she fell before her daughter. Where will I go? Chief Baraka appeared behind Nia, his presence as steady as the earth beneath their feet. There is no place for cruelty under this roof. You must leave, Zuberi, but I will ensure you are given safe passage. I am not as heartless as you have been. Zuberi wept openly. And my daughter, you cannot take her from me. Baraka's gaze hardened. You gave her away the moment you called her your maid. The villagers watched as Zuberi was escorted out of the estate. No one cheered. No one jeered. They simply watched the fall of a woman who had forgotten the value of what she once had. Back inside, the house felt lighter, as if the very walls had exhaled. Baraka turned to Nia. From this day forward, you live as you deserve. There will be no more scrubbing floors unless you choose to. You are not a servant, you are a child of honour. Nia looked down at her hands, rough and worn from years of labour. For the first time, she imagined a life beyond survival. A life where she could laugh without fear, dream without limits. Quito ruffled his feathers. Told you so. And as dusk settled over the land, Nia stood on the balcony, watching the wind dance across the plains. She could feel it whispering promises of something new, something better. But deep inside her heart, she knew this story was not yet over. Forgiveness had been spoken, but healing would take time. And Zuberi, well, the wind carried her name into the night, and only time would reveal what lay ahead for the woman who had lost it all. And far off beneath the cover of the darkening sky, Malkia prowled, watching over Nia with silent approval. Because the truth had roared, and peace had begun its slow return. Days turned into weeks, and Zuberi found herself wandering through the outskirts of villages where no one knew her name. Gone were the fine dresses, the jingling bangles, and the dreams of becoming lady of the estate. Now, she wore a faded shawl and carried nothing but a small sack of millet she'd been given by a kind stranger. She slept under trees, bathed in streams, and begged at market stalls. Each night she stared at the sky, wondering how she had fallen so far. One evening, as the first stars blinked awake, Zuberi crouched beside a dying fire, shivering. The wind rustled the dry grass around her, and for the first time in her life, she felt completely alone. "Mama," she whispered into the night, as if calling to her long-gone mother. "Where did I lose my way?" But the wind carried no answers. Meanwhile, back at Chief Baraka's estate, Nia was blooming like the wildflowers after rain. She woke to soft sheets, ate meals served on silver trays, and wore dresses stitched from the finest fabrics. Yet, despite the comfort, she still spent her afternoons walking among the animals, speaking to the sparrows, and listening to the stories carried by the breeze. "Strange," Quito said as they strolled through the garden. "You have everything now, yet your heart still aches." "I miss her," Nia admitted quietly. "She wasn't always cruel. Before greed took over, she was kind. She used to sing to me at night. I don't know where that version of her disappeared." Quito clicked his beak thoughtfully. "People lose themselves chasing things they were never meant to hold." Chief Baraka noticed Nia's melancholy and joined her under the shade of a fig tree. "You're thinking of her?" "Yes." Baraka studied the horizon where the wind stirred the tall grasses. "Forgiveness is easy to speak but heavy to carry. What she did was wrong, but if your heart still calls her back, perhaps it is time we go to her." Nia's eyes widened. "You would do that?" Baraka smiled softly. "You have a gift, Nia, not just with animals but with people. And if there's hope left in your heart for her, then perhaps hope is not lost for her either." And so, the very next morning, they prepared a journey. Guided by the whispers of the wind and the sharp eyes of the animals that adored Nia, they followed the trail left by the fallen woman. Far ahead, under the weight of her own regret, Zuberi sat alone, never knowing that salvation was already on its way. And this time, it wouldn't come from gold or titles, but from the one person she had cast aside. Because, in the end, some treasures cannot be bought, only returned. The journey to find Zuberi took 2 days. With Chief Baraka leading the way and Quito flying high above as a watchful scout, they followed the path of rumours and whispers carried by the villagers they met along the road. "She sleeps by the river bend," an old fisherman told them, "but she is not the woman she once was." When they finally found her, Zuberi was crouched by the water, washing the same shawl she had worn for weeks. Her face was thinner, her eyes hollow. She looked like a ghost of herself. She didn't even hear them approach until Nia stepped forward and softly called, "Mama." Zuberi's head jerked up. For a moment she thought her mind was playing tricks on her. But when she saw Nia, radiant and healthy, standing beside Chief Baraka, her eyes filled with tears. I don't deserve to see you," Zuberi stammered, wiping her wet hands on her skirt. "Why have you come? To remind me of what I threw away?" Nia knelt beside her. "No, Mama, I came because I still remember who you were before greed took you from me. And I believe that person is still somewhere inside you." Zuberi's tears fell freely, dropping into the river like tiny pearls. "I was blind. I thought wealth would heal me. I thought becoming someone important would erase my shame. But I only lost the one thing that ever truly mattered." Chief Baraka stepped closer, his arms crossed. "And what have you learned, Zuberi?" She looked up at him, humbled. "That riches mean nothing if your heart is empty, that a home is not built from walls and gold, but from love and truth, and that no title can replace the joy of hearing my daughter call me Mama." The wind picked up softly, swirling around them like a gentle embrace. In the distance, Malkia, the white leopard, watched from the shadows, before turning silently back into the forest. Her work was done. Nia reached out her hand. "Come home with us, but only if you're ready to be the mother I remember." Zuberi hesitated, then took Nia's hand and held it tight. "I swear to you, I will spend the rest of my days earning back your trust." Back at the estate, Zuberi was given a small room. Nothing grand, nothing fancy. She started helping in the kitchen, learning humility in every task. But what mattered most wasn't the work. It was the way she looked at Nia each day, her eyes full of gratitude for the second chance she never thought she'd receive. And so, peace returned to Nkari. Not the peace of silence or stillness, but the kind that grows in the hearts of those who forgive and those who are brave enough to change. As for Nia, the girl who spoke to the wind, she had always known the truth. That love, like the wind itself, cannot be owned. It can only be shared and set free. And every night, as the moon rose over the hills, Quito would whisper from the rooftop, "Not bad for a girl who was once called a servant." And Nia would smile, knowing the story was only just beginning. Wow, thank you so much for watching this far. Your support truly means the world to us. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing to the channel. It costs you nothing, but it helps us continue sharing these powerful African folktales with you. And hey, we'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Now, don't go anywhere because it's time for my favourite part, the wise words of Nia Tembo. Trust me, you don't want to miss this.
My dear friends, life often reveals the truth in the most unexpected ways. You see, no lie can live forever, and no cruelty goes unseen. But remember this, when the weight of unfairness presses on your heart, do not let it make you bitter. Instead, rise with grace, like Nia did. Hold on to your kindness, for in the end, it is the gentle spirit that is rewarded, and the truth that brings justice. And above all, never forget, your worth is not decided by those who mistreat you, but by the love you carry within. Walk proudly, forgive freely, and trust that life has a way of lifting those who remain true to themselves. I see you, I believe in you, and oh, how brightly you will shine.